Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys and gals a little bit about one of the biggest problems with the carnivore diet, which is literally the most literally insane fitness and diet trends I have ever seen in my entire life. Not enough people are talking about this. My circles talk about this, my friends talk about this, but we're not seeing the community as a whole talk about this, and that is the fact that because this diet has no fiber. So when you're following the carnivore diet, it's supposed to be fiber-free. Most of them believe fiber is bad for you, plants are bad for you, the plants are killing you. All this other just insane, kooky, ludicrous bullshit. Okay, and keep in mind, that is insane. Like, there is nothing else that can be said for that line other than it is batshit crazy. And anyone who buys that line, I just don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Either they're extremely gullible or they're just a blithering moron. It's infantile. I can't even fathom the idea. It's not even remotely imaginable that a person could be convinced of that. But let's set that aside and let's talk about the big issue, and that is the fact that it kills off your gut biome. So the problem is when we don't have fiber in our diet and there's not any prebiotic foods like this available, we have gut flora issues, right? Your gut flora will start going extinct. A lot of them will without the fiber. Now, the defense when you bring this up, some of these people say, well, in theory, we wouldn't need these gut flora. If we don't ever go back to eating fiber or carbohydrates, we won't have to have them. Okay, people understand how that works. That is creating a situation where the people who go on this sort of diet are saying, it's okay if I develop this problem because I don't plan on ever eating vegetables again the rest of my life. So for the next 20, 30, 40 years. So it'll be okay. It'll be fine if I create a situation where my body really can't handle them. Yeah, because you do know you're going to die without them eventually, right? Like, you're going to have dietary deficiencies, you're going to get cancers, all sorts of things as a result of that. And that's the point that people are missing. When you start removing all those antioxidants and things in your diet, your ability to fight off things like cancers and a host of other problems go away. Like, you're going to get cancer. Like, people need to grasp that fact. If you try to do this sort of diet long term and you don't eat another fruit or vegetable the rest of your life, your odds of getting cancer and dying from it are pretty dang high. So when you're doing this and then you're having this gut flora extinction issue, guess what? You're creating a situation where you're like, well, now it's going to be really hard for me to eat the foods I have to have for all these cardioprotective benefits and to fight off cancers and everything else. And now I've created a situation where I'm really going to struggle to eat them in the future. Okay, because the problem with the gut flora extinction is it's not always a case of, oh, I can just eat some yogurt and everything will be okay. I can just start adding this stuff back in and it'll be okay. It might be okay. There's a very real possibility that it won't. And that's a real problem. Because when that happens and then it's not okay, guess what? The only solution then is like a fecal transplant. And yes, that is exactly what it sounds like. Hey, let me state that again. The only way sometimes you're going to get your gut flora restored is to have multiple transplants over time of someone else's healthy gut biome being transplanted from them into you, right? It's a procedure for that. So then you get all the gut microbe and biome growing that you need, all right? And so again, this is what you're looking at. Is essentially saying if I run this diet long term, there's a very real chance I'm going to have a fecal transplant later. All because some goofballs on the internet convinced you to do it. And then people say, well, it's not everyone does long term. We're doing it as an elimination diet. Elimination from what? Like, the whole idea of using that as an elimination diet is absurd. Dietitians and doctors are not prescribing this as an elimination diet. Oh yeah, just cut all the fruits and vegetables out for a few weeks and see what happens. No, nobody's telling you to do that who is knowledgeable. That's not what you do. That's not the procedure for an elimination diet. Okay. Even the thing, people, I have IBS, you didn't follow the other stuff for IBS? Do people not understand there are proven approaches to eating to handle IBS that don't involve you going carnivore? Like, this is ridiculous. But yeah, and people need to understand healthy gut biome, it's not just about that. What all does gut biome affect? Your immune system, your mental health, your neurotransmitters, okay, depression, anxiety, happiness. All these things are affected by gut biome. So when you are having tons of your healthy gut biome die off while you're following this goofball fad diet, that's the issue. All right, and that's before we start getting into the issues with LDL-C and atherosclerosis and all of that. But keep in mind, some of that can be offset by just eating a healthy diet. So that's the issue. Like steak and eggs, all right, if you're eating vegetables with it. See where I'm about to go? Steak, eggs, dairy, things like that. Yeah, the saturated fat can be problematic. But in a more balanced diet, we have other cardioprotective things that actually make it not really as big of a problem. In other words, if you're eating plenty of vegetables and stuff, like so people, steak, eggs, and avocado, that's a great dietary approach. That's a great meal. But not steak, eggs, and butter. Okay, these other healthier fats in the avocados, the antioxidants, the fiber, all this stuff in all the vegetables are cardioprotective. Okay, do you see where we're going with this? Saturated fat in the context of a balanced, healthy diet is really that big of a problem. It's really not. But what this carnivore diet does is it takes it away from being that balanced, healthy diet. It starts taking the foods out that are cardioprotective. I mean, butter is a case of that. That's why butter does so bad in studies compared to whole milk. Whole milk doesn't seem to be correlated with cardiovascular disease or bad lipids, right? But butter is, even in the same quantities. Why? Because a lot of the contents of the milk itself are cardioprotective. It offsets the potential negatives of the saturated fat. Lo and behold, whole foods win again. Okay? You strip all those things out, they're not in butter. Butter is very void of most nutritional value. And that's a fact. So we lose those cardioprotective benefits. So that's why blood work looks terrible when a bunch of butter is eaten, but not when milk is eaten, even whole milk. So this is the problem we have with this whole diet. It's the potential for long-term consequences. Okay, the long-term consequences are a big risk and concern.